Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Daegan podcast. The following is a conversation I shared with WHIZ Storm Team forecaster aleshly Castro. We talk about political literacy, meteorology, and the importance of education in our world today. Without further ado, here's Aleshly, and I hope you enjoy.
I'm Aleshly Castro, and you're watching the Daegan podcast.
Okay, so what's going on?
Life.
What's going on?
Life. It's, so of course, weekend meteorologist here at WHIZ, but it's just more than that. It's not just this position. Also, college student, full-time right now. Just finished a class yesterday. Had a project that was due, turned that in like a few hours before it was due, but perfect. Did my peer reviews. Now I'm 2 classes done, and I have 2 more to go. So I'm only taking 4 classes this semester. Like I said, finish one hopefully by tomorrow, and then the next one's final exam is this upcoming Wednesday, and then after that I'm completely done and I'm on track to graduate.
So yeah, that's actually like what I was saying earlier when I did like research, like prepared for this. Like I went to your Instagram, see what's going on there, and then I went to your like WHIZ page just to see if there's any like information on there. And that's something that I didn't realize until I did that is like you're about to graduate.
Yes.
And it's interesting because like we've talked about like classes and stuff you got going on before, but it's interesting because I remember when we were talking, what was it? It was a couple weeks ago when we were talking. You were talking about what you were doing in school, like you were like in these clubs and there was like stuff. I can't even exactly remember what it was. There was like some sort of almost like political type of stuff going on.
Yeah.
And it was cool because like when we were talking about that, we kind of got into that stuff, and it was just that conversation led in a totally different direction. But you talked about school, like very passionate about school, and that's when we started talking about education.
Yes.
And you had some very. That's part of the reason why I wanted to do this interview in the first place. Is you had some very strong opinions and some interesting things to say about education. And I think the reason why I took interest in that particularly is because in my like personal life, I'm actually surrounded by a lot of education right now because, like with my work with the library system, we just got done wrapping up a pretty big project where I was going around to all of the different like library branches and, interviewing we interviewed staff, we interviewed patrons, like we interviewed kids, like, and I got to talk to all of these different people from the entire county, from the 5 different branches that they have, like in South Zanesville and New Concord and Roseville, like they're all around. And I've talked to like teachers in these communities, and I've talked to kids that are being influenced by education. And then you were talking about it, and then like actually just yesterday, my mom was telling me about just the importance of like being educated in a very similarly passionate way to how you were a couple weeks ago. So that's kind of really what I wanted to pry you on. Like, if you could just start from there. Yeah,
so back to the conversation that we did have a few weeks ago, one thing I mentioned was that I was the president of the University-wide Council of Latino Organizations at OSU. And so we kind of oversee the whole like Latino organization community and like how they're helping the community, and we provide them funding to ensure, they keep connected and they're able to pursue whatever they please to pursue. And so that kind of came under fire, not the organization directly, but like the bigger programs that we were involved with, which is like ODI, the Office of Diversity and Inclusion, as well as CBSC, which is the Center for Belonging and Social Change. And that right there, OSU a few weeks ago actually was like February 28th, they decided, well, we're gonna, and because DEI was under fire over in the Senate, Ohio Senate, we're gonna cut these like big programs. And so ODI, CBSC, they were like our form of DEI in a sense that kind of oversaw the entire operations there. And that's where our organization was like, well, crap, because we are directly involved with these programs, and because we serve the Latina community, they're gonna think that, oh, like we're excluding people, which is not really the case. Like we are trying to create a space that's more inclusive, not just for Latinas, but for everyone as well. Like, we want to come in and we want to educate anyone of any race, any color, any identity to come and learn about the Latina organizations and community as well. And this is kind of the part where we spoke about education, and what it was like, this is why education is so important, because DEI is not meant to, also these are my personal opinions, by the way, this is not part of the company, nothing that I work for, just my personal opinions, but DEI is so important because it's supposed to provide equity. And we know that equality in a space like this, like, people think it's going to mean, oh, equal for all, but really that's not the case. We know we live in a world, especially in a capitalist society, where they're always going to favor one group of people more than the other, whether that's the rich versus the poor, educated versus uneducated, when really that shouldn't be the case at all. And equity is what's supposed to come in and sort of bring in like the extra help to people who actually need it. And even if you already have the help, you know, we still want to keep you involved in some way. So really, it's supposed to create a system where it doesn't favor anyone, but rather provide everyone that same standing point in a sense. And I guess that's the conversation we had. And we also, like you said, we mentioned education. And now that you brought up, you know, the whole library thing, it's so interesting how, like, we saw how, you know, they were attacking the Latina community first here in the States, and now they're moving on to education and libraries, and now they're trying to target these systems that are supposed to provide you education. The library is supposed to provide you that information. You can go read books, learn about history, learn about what's happening now, or even just what other people are thinking, in a sense, even if it's in a fantasy world, you know, there's some truth to it, like Hunger Games, for example. And now it's at a point where that's under attack, and this is why I come in and I say education's so important, because it's supposed to keep our eyes open to prevent history from happening again, as they say, or, you know, just to make sure that we're continuing on the right path without making sure there isn't any setbacks. And I could also even bring this into meteorology, because that's one thing I didn't necessarily talk about a few weeks ago, where we are seeing these funding cuts in NOAA and all these other organizations and climate offices that, you know, are supposed to provide you like weather literacy. And it's so crazy to me how weather literacy is not necessarily common growing up. Like, you tell me right now, when you grew up in the system, did you ever learn about, this difference between a tornado warning versus tornado watch, how to prepare for a weather situation? You know, they do like tornado drills, but like, if you're at home, how are you supposed to prepare for that, you know? They don't necessarily educate you on that. And now we're at a point where people are talking about, well, is climate change real or is it not? And now it's like become political, which is so crazy to me, because at the end of the day, for me, weather has always and only has ever been science. Science is facts. And so
science is facts.
It is. Science is facts, and that's the basis of it. And that's why science exists, to find the facts of what's real and what's wrong. And weather, to me, is science. Therefore, there are facts to weather. And so if you have people that are literally doing research to tell you whether climate change is real or climate change is not, at least they're doing research. But the fact that people are twisting it now into a political sense, where it's like, oh, it's just part of their propaganda, or it's just part of this or that, like, it's not real. That's where I come in and I'm like, this is so mind-boggling, because we're supposed, like, our job as meteorologists too, or even me personally, like, I do this on the daily. Like, I just like to inform people about weather and be like, hey, this is what you should be aware of, you know, like, you know, be on the safe side. Like, this is science, this is real. Like, I'm trying to teach you so that you're more educated on it.
If I may pause and ask a question there, do you think that, like, what you're saying, like, I kind of chuckle when you said science is facts, because it's like, but no, like, science is factual, if that's, like, in the most literal sense of that phrase. So, like, you're talking about how there are these, like, you almost describe them as like conspiracy, like sort of propaganda. And what I want to ask is, do you think that there's an incentive for them to claim it as propaganda or not accept it as factual?
I have no clue. This is the thing that's so hard about society now, where there's two different groups of people and we're so divided that it's so hard to see how the other person thinks. And I'm at a point right now where it's like, I want to try to understand how they're thinking, but they're not necessarily providing, there you go, they're not necessarily providing the facts to be like, oh, I see where you're coming from. Now everything is so opinion based that even if I say like, oh, what they're saying is not true, well, that's just my opinion at the end of the day and their opinion. But like, what I try to do to combat that is like try to like mix in the facts, if that makes sense. Like, this is why I think it's real or not. Now, I feel like everyone, well, not everyone, but it's gotten to a point in politics where people will kind of lie to kind of get it their way. And I also had this one good friend who's also part of my organization where he brought up a few weeks ago with something that's unrelated to all this. He was like, what politicians like to do is make things seem like a certain way to try to persuade you to believe them. But we don't know if that's true or not nowadays. Yeah, so I feel like people are now kind of falling into like the persuasive manner of like, well, I'm going to believe this because this politician told me this, and I'm going to try to, you know, spread that information. But as to whether it's true or not, that's where you kind of have to actually dig in and do research and educate yourself in whether that's real or not. And this is where I think it's so important that education comes in, because at the end of the day, you don't know what's real or not unless you really do the research yourself and educate yourself on that manner. If you told me one thing, yeah, I could believe it, but I could be gullible in a sense if I'm not doing the research to ensure like you're telling me the truth or not, if that makes sense.
Which I guess that does tie back to the beginning of what they actually teach us, and like what you're talking about, like when you mentioned, did I ever learn the difference between tornado, watch, or warning? I'm trying to think. I may not have been paying attention, but I don't think so, to be honest. I remember doing the tornado drills though.
And even growing up, I've never really learned about weather like that. Like, they don't tell you cloud types. They don't tell you the difference between like how.
I remember. It's funny you mentioned that. I remember. I think this is probably a lot of people's stories. I remember watching the movie Up, and the little scout. I forget his name. He's talking about Russell or something. He's talking about the Nimbus or something like that. Whatever it's called. I forget what it's called now. Johnny corrects me on it all the time. It's funny. Cumulonimbus. I think. Sorry. And I remember asking like my mom, I think, I was like, what is that? Like, I remember that. And then it's like, I actually kind of know a little bit about weather after talking with Johnny all the time. Because Johnny will just talk about it. Like, I feel like that's the thing with meteorologists is like, at least when they're at work, they will find anything, any way, at least with Johnny, he always just ties it back to weather. Like, he's teaching me about like the millibars when all the hurricanes is going on, and the vortexes, and like, I forget what it's called, like all this crazy stuff. And Johnny's always talking about weather, and when you were talking about with all the like the cutbacks and like all the federal cutbacks and stuff like that, like Johnny was talking about how he had like multiple friends that he knew that he went to school with that got laid off. Like that actually, and I'm sure you probably have similar stories knowing people who are in that system that got laid off because of that. So I think where I stand, if we can kind of tie this back to when you were kind of getting into the more political side of things, the thing where I stand is I am so unbelievably uneducated on politics, like by choice for my entire life, because I gotta be honest, like you're talking about, you know, the systems and swaying and propaganda and judging and making all these like crazy, like these big concepts that affect like the entire nation or the world at large in such a way. Like my mind can't, like I can't wrap it, like I can't wrap my mind around, like this is so complicated, like what is, like like if we can pause and like zoom out, politics is really weird as a concept. It's a very like trippy almost concept, like there's a lot of just weird moving parts all the time, and it's always affecting other stuff, and there's always stuff that's always like, I feel like it's designed to like scare you away from it. And I think I bought into that then, because
honestly,
and I don't, so like you're talking about like having an opinion and all that kind of stuff, and all this like being educated on knowing which side or whatever it is, whatever the sides are that you believe in. I just have, in my entire life, I've just rocked like I don't have an opinion. Like I simply chose to just be like, this is so complicated, I feel like I just would rather not, like I feel like I can't really change it, or I can't really influence it in any positive way besides living in fear of it. So I just clock out of it. And I'm like, and it's not like I want to become some like political activist or anything like that, but it's like, it does scare me. Maybe there's something interesting to learn in it. and that's why I want to talk to you about it, because it's like we were talking about like Minecraft and stuff, but then we also were talking about like political stuff, and you were just like informing me about stuff, and I'm like, okay, this is an interesting perspective. Maybe instead of running away from it and just ignoring it, being like, this is weird, dude, I'm not doing this. Like, I'm, maybe I'm not like into politics at all. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Like, obviously, like had to be very, very swiftly updated with stuff that, with the stuff that happened specifically with the library, just because of my partnership with them. And that was crazy to me. I got an email about it, and I was just so confused. I was like, it came out of nowhere. It was just so, and I don't really understand it. I know there's like organizations in charge of this, and there's federal stuff, and it's like political, and I know there's a lot of like really big moving parts to it, and I'm just kind of lost or something. I don't know. I'm not, and it's like, I feel like it's almost designed to be confusing in that way. It's like, isn't it called the cycle or whatever, the 24 hours cycle of the news? I have no clue. That's what it's called. It's like the 24-hour news cycle, like everything coming out like all the time. Check your news app. Like I'm not into that. I don't do that.
It's very hard to consume media in general and news, especially since we live in an age now where it's not just on the TV, oh, we're gonna watch the news at 5 and 6. Now we have it in our hands. You can download as many news apps as you want, and even social media, I get
it on there, and I just scroll. I'm like,
social media was like originally designed to connect with people, but now we're connecting not just with people, but with the world and what's going on right now. So now we have this device in our hands that provides us all that information of like, oh my God.
That's scary.
And
it
yes,
it
is scary. And now it's gotten to a point where, like you said, politics is complicated. And I think it is complicated, and I think that's exactly why people go to school for political science and stuff like that, to try to actually educate themselves and take 4 years, if not more, to try to digest and actually break down what the politics system is. Now, sorry, I'm like, sometimes I get like little brain farts, but yes, I do think politics is complicated, and even me, I don't think I'm necessarily like a political person like that. And for a few years, I used to be kind of out of the loop as well, but I was out of the loop more so for like my mental health, one thing, and two, like you're saying, ignorance is bliss, basically. Like the less I know, the better sometimes. And it does feel like that now in this sense, but you don't realize how much the system is changing until it's actually directly impacting you. Like you brought up the library system. And my mom in particular, she also works like for the state government in some sense, and she's now having to deal with all the government stuff too, of like layoffs and this and that. And even now, me personally, like NOAA, like I get my weather information, so much of it from NOAA, National Weather Service, NOAA, and the models and stuff like that. And our government provides so much funding to NOAA to ensure that we get weather models and all that in our hands. Also, not to mention free, all the information I get is actually free and publicly available to everyone to access as well. But now we're in...
You mind if I get some water?
Yeah, no.
Sorry.
Good. Yeah, drink. And now we're in a situation where it's directly impacting us. I'm good for now, but thank you. Now it's directly impacting us, and now it's like, well, now what? And that's why it's so important to keep ourselves informed on the situation, because now you know if I'm being attacked, well, what are my next steps? And if you don't have any knowledge, then you're gonna be like, well, crap, what am I gonna do next? It's like kind of a thing where it's like either you stay informed and try to learn how to combat it, or stay uninformed and just let the system affect you. And I think this is where we also had that conversation on a few weeks ago of like, how much power do we actually have to change the system? And I think that's where we come in, and we have to be like, well, from an individual standpoint, I need to figure out how to take control of things myself. Like, what am I gonna do if all this information goes away? Like, am I gonna have to pay, or am I gonna have to find another way, you know? It's, like you said, very complicated, and not even I have the answer to everything. And I feel like even from an entry level, I don't know much. So like, literally no one take my word on any of this just because.
Yo, same, by the way, huge clarification on that. Like, I know nothing, dude. Please.
Yeah.
I know nothing.
We're literally just yapping a yap. So if you don't agree with the stuff, we're sorry. We're just yapping a yap, and we don't have all the knowledge in our worlds, in our hands to like ensure everything's correctly or politically correct or whatever.
So, yeah, just quick clarification.
Yeah.
So yeah, if I can tie that concept
Yeah.
into, like, once again into my personal life, this was about a year and some change ago, I guess. I think it was about that long, where there was like the Roe v. Wade. I think was that the
Yes.
abortion related stuff going on.
Yes.
Yeah. So that is when my fiance and I were pregnant at the time, and I remember my mom came to me in a very similar tone to how you were coming to me about,
Yeah.
like, just being educated, and she was saying like, this could affect Nadia, this could, what if this happens, what if that happens, and I remember I was so like clocked out about it.
Yeah.
I was so just like, it's something happening
Yeah.
at like this big court or something, like there's this big stuff going on, and like, I don't know. I don't really know what my role is in that. Like, am I gonna go like march in the street? I don't know. Like, I like is that gonna change? I don't know if, like, in my head I'm like, is that gonna change? Like, whatever the outcome is gonna be. You know what I mean? I'm just in my head. I'm just like, I don't think I can change. Like, this is what I was thinking at the time, and I'm still a little bit attached to that ideology, but like, once again, I'm just interested to see like what someone who's more involved in this might have to think. Like, you are more like you're saying, like, even you are at an entry level point, but to me, I'm so below whatever you think about it, because it's like, at least what's going on, and you also have stuff like politically related things that are affecting your personal life in various ways. So, and it just goes back to what I was just saying about my mom. Like, my mom's been doing this to me too. My mom's been randomly getting into like politics. Not like getting into it, but she's been talking to me about. I'm like, Mom, I don't know what's going on either. I don't. And then she, like, I think she wrote a letter to like someone like our commissioner or like something. I don't know. She wrote a letter to someone, like, of her concern about the state of the nation or something. And I'm like, Mom, like, when did you ever? She just got super like into this stuff, and she's been talking to me about it, and like, once again, I'm not saying I'm like really like fiery passionate about like, not really like in that way. I'm not like really angry, or I'm not really like fired up or whatever. It's just, it's intriguing. Like, whenever I talk to someone who's involved in politics, like, they seem to really care about it, and that perspective is intriguing to me. If that makes sense.
And I guess the reason why, again, entry-level politics, but the reason why I stay involved is, like I said, I feel like it connects to me in some way. Like, at the end of the day, I am literally first-generation Dominican American. My parents are of Dominican descent. They came from the island themselves. They moved here when they were kids because their parents brought them over. And then I was born here, and, I have identity connection and that just connection to my Dominican background so much. And so I see where my parents came from, where their parents came from, how hard they fought to get into this country, and just, trying to make a living for themselves. And so I think that's the main reason why I started paying more attention to politics, because of how they started attacking, Hispanic and Latina people first, if that makes sense. Like, we saw how they've been treating, immigrants. Whether you agree with it or not, that's completely up to you. But, at the end of the day, these people are humans too. And I can say, I know they're humans because at the end of the day, I've seen personally what these people go through to get to where they are today. And that's where I come in, and I'm like, yeah, I'm involved because of that. But like, I feel like a lot of people, they like to get involved because they were directly impacted. So that's why you may have felt like, wait, I don't know anything with Roe v. Wade, just because you were not the one, at risk here, but in fact it was Nadia who was. She's pregnant. What if she dealt with complications? Then she wasn't going to be able to have, the resources available just because what the government is doing. And so this is where it's so important that to not only educate ourselves, but also have empathy, because I feel like you don't really know what someone goes through unless you put yourself in their shoes. And I think that's what a lot of people just refuse to do, because unfortunately we live in a society where, and this is also something they teach in sociology all the time, where it's like here in the Americas, they teach individualism more than anything else, where it's sort of think for yourself first before you think for others. So a lot of people, especially in politics, they kind of take a selfish standpoint where it's like, well, I know this is what I want, therefore I'm going to go ahead and pursue this, but they're not going to consider how that's going to hurt other people, if that makes sense.
It's interesting that you expanded that idea into politics. I actually like digested that idea and was thinking that's kind of what I have been doing with politics. Like, think for yourself before others. So it's like I'm just thinking for myself. Like, once again, I would just said it was like, I'm like, I bet I sound like an idiot. Like, bro, it's weird, it's trippy. Like, you know what I mean? I'm just like, that's my take on it. And I'm just like, I'm just gonna stay out of that. But it's like, that's just to like preserve my own, like you said, ignorance. And I think I was holding some weight in me somewhere about like intentionally being ignorant about something that, at least from the outside, seems important to be like updated on, or like at least well versed on. Like you said, though, it did directly impact my life, which could have been like a spark for that.
Yes.
So I'm not entirely sure. And this ties like, and then this like my ignorance ties in exactly what we were talking about, which was, you were telling me, you kind of gave me a more emotional perspective to it, honestly. Like you were saying, there's, and I literally have no idea. But you just had mentioned there's like immigration laws going on or stuff like passing right now or something like that. That's,
I mean,
like,
there's not
affecting
necessarily any immigration laws directly, but it's rather how they're trying to deport immigrants.
Right. Okay. So like there is like bigger stuff going on around that,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So, and how that was impacting you, and I was like, and then I'm in my head once again, like going back to that individualist perspective. I was thinking like, that's terrible. That is terrible, and I do feel for those people, but I don't exactly understand their perspective at all, which you kind of came in clutch there and kind of have informed me because I was interested. And I don't really understand how I can change or how I can fix this big, giant, moving entity above it. And then you kind of like snap back at me a little bit, actually, with like well, hey, let's like, not everyone even thinks. Not like you don't need to think you can change the entire whole thing. Some people are like fighting for like their rights or fighting for their lives or whatever stuff's going on about anything going on, like with Roe v. Wade or with whatever's going on, or with libraries. People are fighting for their stuff, and sometimes people just want to like feel supported or feel like there's someone there for them to support their cause. And I never thought of it in that way, which might be really selfish and really stupid. But I was like, dude, what am I gonna do? Protest? It's like, that really like, that's just like you showed up, you did something. So I don't know. That's what you said. You're like, at least I can say I tried. Or at least I can say I showed up, and I didn't just stay clocked out. And I was just in the back playing Minecraft and whatever. Like, oh, and I remember because like I mean, like I'm back there and I see all the news, and like especially when I used to work the weekdays, we'd get the breaking news, and I would just be like, there was like, maybe that's another reason why I've been like interested, like I've been exposed to it more, because I used to work mornings and I used to watch the entire like 5-hour NBC newscast, so I would learn everything that's going on, from like the big stuff to like the celebrity drama, and I'm watching all this and I'm like, what is going on? It's just so much. It's so much information. It's all the time. It's so crazy, and it's just like a force to just, I don't know. It's very, as scary as it is for me, especially when it's like there's big changes that like I said, with Roe v. Wade or with whatever's going on. There's big changes, or with the library. There's big changes that I just feel like I'm a victim of, almost, in a way.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm a victim of. Not really a victim, like I don't feel like, I'm not like, I just mean like I'm just afflicted by it. Like there's no, I was born into this like nation, or like this like state of political affairs. Like I was born into a bipartisan, like whatever it is, like system. Like that's where I was born into, and it's like, I just am kind of afflicted by it, I guess. Like I'm just kind of like, if this passes and this goes and this changes and this happens, like stuff just changes. And that's kind of how I always interpreted it. Yeah. Until something like actually really directly impacts you, I guess. And then I guess maybe then there's a switch.
Yeah. And I feel like even as a kid, obviously, you're going to be out of the loop for a long time. It's really not until, at least for me, it wasn't until my college years and I started getting along with peers that both have different perspectives and also the same perspectives as me, where it's like, okay, now I need to get a little more informed, because people don't necessarily think about this, but politics is not, I have so many issues with the politics. Let me change the subject a little bit, but we see politicians that are in their 70s and 80s and 60s that are making policy changes, but they're not going to be here 20, 30 years from now on. Rather, this is going to impact the following generation. Like, I feel like politicians, especially in their older years, they should be fighting for the newer generation and making sure the newer generation is comfortable and set, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, now you think about it on a personal level. Now you have a child.
I do have a child.
Now
and it's pretty awesome, but it's also very terrifying.
It's definitely terrifying. So now you're in a situation where, dang, I cannot think about politics for me myself anymore. I got to think about what's best for my child too, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So a lot of politicians, I feel like they should do better with thinking for the next generation as well, rather than keeping that selfish standpoint. Because at the end of the day, once these major changes come into play, it's not going to impact them, but rather it's going to impact us. Because we're only in our 20s. We still got 60, 80 years left on our plate. And that's a lot of years. Like, we've only lived a small fraction of our life. And now politics is changing in a way where, like, who knows what's going to happen in a few years but now on. But we don't have politicians either that are necessarily fighting for our future. So now we're left in a state of confusion and fear, like you mentioned, because we don't know what's going to happen next. And that's why we have so many younger people now that are taking a stand, because they want to let the politicians know, like, we matter too. Like, our voice matters, because at the end of the day, the changes you're making are for us. And that's why so many younger students are getting involved in politics now, because you got to think about it. A president cannot, or a person is not allowed to run for president until they're at least 35. There's a lot of politicians where, like, there's age limits on that. So we got to let the older people know that, like, hey, like, this is what we want. We want you to make that change, because it's going to impact us more than it's going to impact you, if that makes sense. So that's where being a little less selfish comes in, and having to realize this is not just for me, this is for everyone as well. And I'm also going to throw in this, like, random fact in there too, because I feel like bringing it out before I forget. But my mom, mind you, my parents they grew up in New York City. So they were there when 9/11 happened. And I asked my mom, I don't know how we got to the conversation. I think I asked her, like, do you always kept up with the news or something? And she said that after 9/11 happened, she stopped paying attention to news entirely. Like, she didn't watch any news whatsoever. But once she said that once we started going to school, that's when she started watching news again, because she also wants to see what's happening, if there's anything happening that should impact her children or not. So she took that selfish standpoint of, like, well, I don't want to think about it anymore. But once she realized that, hey, there's someone I should care for, then that's when she started paying attention to news, if that makes sense.
Do me and your mom have, like, a similar path right now?
Maybe it's just a parent thing where it's like, whoa, hold on, now I gotta think for the younger person too, like the person I'm bringing into this world.
Yeah, so here's like what I'm conflicted on with that. Like, let's pause all of this for a second.
Okay, yeah, of course.
Right, so you're talking about this, like, all of this, like you said, like, it's just like everything you just said was just, like, by the way, very brilliantly said. By the way, you're speaking, like, thank you for, like, you're very clear, and you're helping me understand stuff like that. Okay. But, like, if you think, like, just pause it for a second. Think about, like, where we're, like, at for a second. Like, I know I sound crazy, but, like, this is my genuine perspective. We are, like, on a planet that's in, like, infinite space, and then it's like the planet's been here for, like, billions of years, and before, like, humans were even on it, there was just like the whole entire planet just evolved in, like, dinosaurs and all this prehistoric history, and then humans, and then it's like that's what everything you just said, like, none of that was there. Like, it's like that's what we originally are.
We're complex.
We originally are, like, this completely, like, and it's like hard to, like, you learn about, like, dinosaurs or history or whatever, but it's like, what does that even mean? Like, how, like, once, like, you try to understand how long, like, how, like, what do you mean we're on a rock in the space, like, in space, like, that's like my opinion on politics right there.
Okay.
Like I'm like, dude, this like I almost think it's like not like it's a joke, because it's not a joke. It's really impacting. It's like it's real.
Yeah.
It impacts people's lives today. It's a part of our world today. But it's like I'm always just so like, once again, kind of weirded out, like, or like tripped out that
And I
it's
get
like
that.
this big affects everything on the whole planet. That like it affects the nature.
Yeah.
Like this whole
Yeah,
nature
yeah,
spiel I just
yeah.
went on. The political engine, like whatever any like discourse and like whatever, how, like honestly, where do politics originate from? Like where do they come from? Like what's the origin of
Dude, I have
politics?
no
I wish we
clue.
had someone here with a computer. I wish Craig was here.
I
with
wish we had a
computer.
political science, like, bro.
Dude,
next
I
time, bring
know.
someone who's into political science and just have them
Dude.
sit down and like give you the history. But I think
Like what? Like what's your take
this
on
is-
that?
I feel like it was a way to like make sure that everything was kept in order, if that makes sense.
Oh, right, but it's like, does that start? Because it's like there was a trend. Okay, so like if you subscribe to evolution, which I guess that's what I learned. I'm inclined to subscribe to evolution. Just, I think that's pretty general consensus.
Yeah.
Like, right. So, but once again, it's like there's so much like evolution's fake, all this whatever. I'm like, dude, like what? Like going back to the conspiracy thing. Like, is there an incentive to have a conspiracy, or it's like where do conspiracies come from? Anyways, it just the whole idea of like just these big sort of like cultural impactful human things. It just creeps me out, kind of like freaks me out. That's what I'm saying. Like like conspiracy theories freak me out. The fact that there's like like what do you mean I gotta like know if they're lying? Like I don't like it's a lot of work. I feel like it's a lot of work to be informed and updated.
And it is.
And you know, it's like they try to appeal to the like your what is it? The ethos and the pathos and the logos and all these different parts of you with all these different things all the time. And there's so much to keep up with it. I just feel like if I were to ever take it seriously, I'd lose my mind, I think, to be honest. I think I would lose my mind. And that's why I stay away from it. I'm like, dude, I'm just, whatever's gonna, like, I take the approach, I don't know, it's like I went through like this, honestly, to be completely honest with you, I went through like this arc where I was like really obsessed with like learning about Buddhism and stuff like that. Like, I just went on this like whole like Buddhist arc, and I listened to this, there's this awesome like Buddhism podcast on Spotify. I listened to like the whole series, and I was just learning all this stuff, and it's like the number one thing is just like, life is suffering, like desire is suffering. And it's like, I just like totally just subscribed to that, and I was just like, I'm just gonna clock out of it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, if it's gonna happen, I just took this like, let the wind, whatever, like if this thing is gonna get past, whatever, then it gets past. Like that's how I see it. That's how I see it. Like that's how I've always seen it. I'm so clocked out.
It's easy to think like that until it directly impacts you, and then you're like, wait, I don't like this.
Right, but then almost it's like if it directly impacts me, and I take it to that level too. I'm just like, oh, it's just like let the will of the universe take it. Like I don't know. Like that's how I feel. I'm subscribed to like some philosophy that I'm just like, dude, if it like whatever's gonna happen, like not that it's predetermined. Like I don't think it's like predetermined, but I think it's just like, hey, if it was supposed to happen.
I feel like that makes sense if it's something more nature related, if that makes sense. Like if someone dies, like, wow, the universe willed it that way. But I feel like politics, I don't want to say it's the will of the universe, because you have people at the end of the day that are making those decisions.
It is people, right?
Yes, and you're
well,
letting.
I mean, we are the universe.
I know,
still.
but
like, we're in the universe,
I know,
right?
but you're letting someone determine your life for you if you subscribe to the idea of like, oh, I'll let politics do whatever it pleases. And I don't think you should necessarily have someone have that rule over your life, if that makes sense. Which I understand why you want to be like ignorant about it and be like, ignorance is bliss. I'm gonna do what I please. That way they don't necessarily have that impact over me. But just by you ignoring it, you're allowing them to make whatever decision for you, if that makes sense.
You know, it does make sense. I do understand it, and then in my mind, and then I'll tell you where I think next.
Okay.
I think next is like, okay, then I get really passionate about this political change, and there's like election or something like that, voting coming up where you can ballots and all that stuff and vote on the issue. And I'm super passionate, and I'm out there with a picket sign, and I'm like, this change is gonna happen. We gotta make change, and I'm doing this, whatever it is, man. And I'm super passionate. I'm super fired up. I'm at the polls, and I put my vote in. And by the way, tell me if any of this is inaccurate. Like, is this all pretty much how it goes? Like, people get like vote about stuff, like this is just what I see on the news. So
I don't. And there's a lot of special elections that happen too, where
with like certain
more local, like we had here in the state of Ohio.
I saw it. That's why I'm trying to
where
ask
they were
if
allowed
I saw
to,
protests.
where they were, or even prior to the current presidency and like this current year, but like back in the end of 2023, where we had a special election to decide whether we want abortion, laws to pass or not in Ohio, or like take it off, our constitution or whatever. But we had enough people show up to the polls where we were actually able to keep abortion rights here in the state of Ohio.
That's what I'm talking about.
And for sure.
That's kind of how it went, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of what I'm referencing.
Yeah.
Like, let's say I go do that. Let's say I was a part of all of that. Like, let's say I did all this and I voted, and then it was just like, it didn't get passed. Like, I just say that. Then it's like, in my mind, I'm like,
but you tried.
Yeah, but
you
it's
did
like,
try.
But if it was always supposed to go that way.
Yeah, but I feel like you're not. You saying you're not voting, I don't know how to put it. They have a way of saying.
Is it power? Like, is voting actually power?
Yes,
like, okay,
for sure. Special elections, yeah, definitely. I think it is.
Okay.
It really is.
Now you're making me think about it.
Especially at a local.
Like I don't know.
Especially at a local level where you're choosing someone to be a mayor. If enough people choose that person to be a mayor, then your power worked. Like, you were able to put in power to say, yes, I want this person.
Okay, but hold on.
And
what would
you brought
say?
a collective power together to make it happen.
What would you say then if it didn't get passed? Would you say you put your power together? Like, did you say that?
Yeah, you still tried.
Okay,
at the end of the day, that's the thing. You still tried. And that's why protests still happen too, because even if something fails, there's still a lot of things in the political world that can change. Like, just because this person, or like, that's why people protest too, because like they're like, oh, we're gonna protest and tell them like, this is our answer, this is what we want. Whether it works or not, that's what it is, but at least we tried. You tried, you put in the effort.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Let's say there's something that you're very passionate about. The outcome is undetermined. You really put your everything behind this, and you do not acquire the end result. And you did try to get the end result and you didn't. What does describe that feeling to me?
I mean, it sucks. It feels like defeat, for sure. And you're allowed to feel defeat. Like, that's part of life, not everything's gonna go your way, and you're gonna feel it and it's gonna be disappointing, but that's where a lot of people also come in and they fight for reform. To reform, and that's why there's a lot of people that are like, we're not going to stop here. That's why there's a lot of people that pursue this full time, because they said, well, this didn't pass, but I'm still going to work with nonprofits, or I'm going to go to school and educate myself, go to law school, or try to become a politician. There's a lot of people that take those routes where they actually want to physically reform by actually involving themselves in that 24/7 to put themselves on a pedestal, if that makes sense, to like then give them even more power to try to make a change. Not everyone chooses that route. I mean, I didn't, where like, oh, I'm gonna go into politics. No, I already have a different career in mind, but I'm still gonna try to make, still try to support those people and show them like, hey, like, you can do this for sure.
Let me ask you then, could you describe to me the decision between, or if there was ever a decision for you, like you mentioned, anyone could pursue that political science career, like that type of being involved in that world. Anyone could. I mean, I could do it. You could do it.
Yeah.
What made you choose meteorology?
What made me choose meteorology? Honestly, it's a very basic answer. We can change course a little bit here and then bring it back, but me getting into meteorology, I'm sure it's the same here as Ohio or Zanesville, where growing up it was mild weather for the most part. do you ever recall like a significant weather event that's like, oh my God, this changed the trajectory of my life?
Not quite.
Same for me. Columbus, very mild weather for the most part. Maybe a thunderstorm here and there, maybe a tornado scare, but like for the most part, it's been very like mild. I think really it's just, I've always had that fascination of nature, if that makes sense. Like, what?
Wow, we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Yo.
What?
I was just talking about nature.
Uh-huh.
It started there for you too.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have this personal connection to weather.
Yes.
So let me ask you then, are you being individualistic for doing that? Because you love it.
Sure, yeah. Starts out individualistic, I think. I mean,
That's
I didn't go
interesting.
into, but maybe, but also maybe not, because I remember growing up, I used to do like fake broadcasts to my parents. This is so oddly specific. I have this one memory. Did you ever have a Wii growing up?
Oh, of course I had a Wii.
On Wii, I remember there was like,
The Weather Channel on the Wii Weather, bro. I never opened it once.
I used to open that and I used to go around and be like, oh, the weather's this here, the weather's that here, the weather's that.
Well, I don't think my Wii was ever connected to internet.
I remember once I like displayed it and I showed my parents, oh, well, this is the weather and this is the weather over here. Right now it's
The
this.
Wii?
And now that I think about it, I also took it in a way of like, I'm informing people of the weather.
Okay.
If you think about it, like, yes, I like weather. I've been fascinated with weather, but like now that I'm connecting to that one memory, I'm like, well, I was trying to inform my parents of the weather.
Okay.
So
That's so, because you know what my first like earliest memories of the weather are?
Uh-huh.
Whatever that weird channel is where it's just a map of the weather, and like the scariest intercom crackly voice you've ever heard is announcing what's going on. And
you're
it's
probably
like,
talking like the Weather Channel.
is that what it
maybe?
was like? Third day, or like whatever it is,
Maybe,
where it's like
yeah.
cloudy, dark skies across this county, and
I
it's like
used-
this dark, scary,
It was like an
terrifying
automated,
voice,
yeah.
and it would like pop. Like I'd be like
Yeah.
in like Biscuit World, and it would
Yeah.
like come on. I was like, bro, I'm trying to
From
eat
the
my
Weather
biscuit, bro.
Channel,
It
yeah.
freaked me out. So like I never ever watched the weather. I never cared about the weather.
I used to be a Weather Channel watcher. I used to watch the Weather Channel growing up all the time, and it was like a mix of like them telling us about the weather, and then you would also watch like some of their shows where they'd be like, oh, top 10 like floods or like top 10 tornadoes in the United States. I had a whole bunch of like weather shows too. So a mix of, I guess I had a lot of exposure, not to the weather, but the broadcasting portion as well.
Okay.
And as a kid, that's where I was like, ooh, maybe I want to do it. But I never had that full mentality growing up. Like I had ideas of like, ooh, I want to work in it. I want to go to dentistry, or ooh, I want to become an astronomer, but for NASA. Like I had that in middle school where like I wanted to become an astronomer, but I didn't want to become an astronaut, if that made sense. And then I was like, this is too universal for me. I feel like this might be too complicated. Let me hone it down. Weather.
Wait. So hold on. The universe stuff is too complicated.
I feel like.
But you're into politics, or like you're like invested. Like,
Okay, but
okay, are you more
but I was
more
thinking-
invested in politics or like the universe stuff?
I
would say they're like almost like
Maybe.
like they're both like so. I think they're
But
similar, like
I was
crazy
thinking-
big giant things.
I was thinking of the universe in a scientific aspect, like
Yeah.
oh, like you're gonna learn about planets.
That's what I'm
this,
talking
that,
about. No, that's no, that
chemistry,
right there.
Physics.
Like this, like stars and galaxies and all
Yes,
this bodies
yes.
and like all that stuff. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes, I felt like it was too large scale for me, so that's why I honed it down to be a little more small scale. And I was like, ooh, let me do meteorology. And since seventh
Okay.
grade, I was like, I want to do weather. Literally since seventh
Wow.
grade, and I haven't had
You
anything.
never deviated. That's so interesting.
Even in high school, I was like, weather. And for a while, I like, for some reason was like, I'd rather like do National Weather Service stuff. Like I want to be more behind the scenes and actually be more hands-on with weather and not do broadcasting. But people always used to tell me, you're perfect for broadcasting though.
Oh, okay.
You're perfect for broadcasting. Even my choir teacher, she was like, I see you on the news. But I never,
Wow, so they saw the vision. That's
Yeah.
crazy, because when someone else sees the vision,
Yeah.
like of the thing you end up doing, it's so crazy. Because it's like, what did they
Yeah.
see? How did they know?
I heard growing up, you should become a lawyer.
Oh, why do you give lawyer vibes, bro?
Probably because-
Bro, you'd be a terrifying
Probably
lawyer.
because of all the speaking I do in the public
true.
speaking, and because I like you said, like I'm explaining everything so well and so clearly. I think that's what people saw, and they're like, you should become a lawyer just because you're able to like communicate things. But I think that's really what they saw, that I'm able to communicate and I'm able to talk and like I can do public speaking fairly well. And so that's why they said lawyer. But I didn't want to do lawyer because I think that's where I took the selfish standpoint of like, well, I think I'm too emotional for that kind of thing, if that makes sense. Like, also being a lawyer is different because you have someone else's life in your hand, if that makes sense. Like you directly have that power to make to change someone's life.
Right.
And I think that was too much power.
That's pretty intense.
I think that was
That's
too
a
much
lot of
power for
power.
me. Yes, and especially if you're like an emotional person, that's like you're gonna take that very deeply. And I didn't take the lawyer route. Chose a more scientific meteorology, weather. I like weather, cool, whatever. And now here I am today because National Weather Service is kind of, I don't know, it's harder to connect with the offices here in Ohio. And so that's where I was like, let me try a different sector. Let me do broadcasting because at OSU, we have a Scarlet and Gray forecasting team, which I'm president of at the current moment. But when I started doing that organization, Johnny was one of the lead forecasters.
Oh.
Yeah, so.
Wait. Do you and Johnny like know each other from school?
Yeah, that's why I'm here. Because, yeah,
What?
because I
Why
knew
did
Johnny.
I not know that?
Yeah, 'cause
That's
I knew
so
Johnny.
Cool.
Yeah.
Johnny's great, right?
Yeah.
Like, can we agree that Johnny's great?
Yeah, he
Okay,
is.
dude,
Yeah.
I love Johnny, bro.
Like, literally because of him and, like, helping us go through weather. And, like, even when I did my first broadcast, I was very nervous, and he would give me tips, and he
Wait,
would,
I
like,
remember that. I was there, bro. Wait, I was
no,
there.
not here, though. At
Oh,
school.
okay.
At school for the...
I thought you meant here. I was
even
like, wait, I was
sooner
there.
than that. No, even sooner.
Because they have the whole, right,
Yes,
sorry.
I think this was, like, 2022, 2023, where I started getting...
And Johnny was there?
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
Yeah,
That's super cool.
Yeah, so that's how I knew Johnny, is going to school with him. And, you know, we did the club together, and he kind of showed me the ropes of things. And I was like, wait, I kind of like the idea of broadcasting. I can get used to this. So because of his help and actually getting like actual exposure to all this weather stuff, like meteorology broadcasting side, that's why I was able to get into it. And so after, you know, some time, I was like, hey, Johnny, I want to get more hands-on with broadcasting. Do you think you can help me, basically? And so that's how I started coming here last summer, was because I directly reached out to Johnny, who was like, yeah, of course, come in. And so now I have the job.
Which was like super cool,
Yeah.
and it's kind of cool. Like I didn't realize it, but I was there for like I forgot I was here when you started, so
Yeah.
that's kind of funny. Like
Yeah.
because that story ends right where
Yeah.
I remember PAing here, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
But like it's interesting. Like yeah, I think I relate to that. Like I am into this video stuff, and I've been doing commercial stuff, and I've been whatever, that type of thing. Like that's just what I enjoyed to do. Like I did, like you said, I was exposed, like you were exposed to weather on the Wii as a kid. I always did like little video stuff when I was a kid. It just sort of evolved in a very similar way that I think anyone's sort of career or passion evolves. And I kind of just did that. Of course, with the help of like a lot of people, a lot of great teachers and stuff like that. But that's kind of just since I graduated high school. That's what I've been doing, and then I obviously like started my family with Nadia, and I'm just living because I mean, dude, like it's just what I wanted to do. I always wanted to be. I always just knew I'd be a young parent. I just wanted to, and it's just like I don't know, like I love Nadia, and it's just that was kind of it for me. I was just like, yeah, like what do you mean? Like this doesn't make it made sense to me, and I'm so like thankful and so happy, like like having a kid is just this whole crazy adventure.
Yeah.
But like in the same way that like videography for me has also been this whole crazy adventure, and like you said, weather for you has just been like this adventure, and you've got this whatever. I'm just in that adventure, man.
Yes.
And then but then like politics, like going back to politics,
Yeah.
that's this big weird machine thing, like above like my interpersonal life. And I'm just like, dude, it's too scary. I'm just gonna focus on what I'm doing.
Yeah.
That's just my take. I've always stopped there. Like we're talking about weather now, and like you're excited, and you're like now you're like moving around because it's awesome.
Yeah.
And I bet you and Johnny would do an awesome podcast, or like you and just another meteorologist, bro. Like I know you guys can talk about weather nonstop forever.
Probably, yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
Like you guys, like when Johnny starts, oh my gosh, if Johnny and I start talking about weather, that's it for the rest of the night. That's it. Oh, with Johnny, it's also roller coasters. You also don't bring up roller
he's a Cedar
coasters.
Point guy.
He's all into that
He's a
stuff.
Cedar
But
Point guy, yeah.
with weather or roller coasters with Johnny, and it's like we'll be like you and I will be talking about music. We'll be talking about whatever. But if I bring up weather, that's what you're talking to me about. So it's like I feel like every single like that's why I think like I want to also do another interview with Johnny. Because I did an interview with him, but I never did like a podcast episode with him. But it's like it'd be like just. You guys know so much about weather, and of course, I know nothing about weather. Like you said, I'm not educated on anything like weather literacy related, but it is this big, like, interesting subject, the same way that like history is an interesting subject or whatever. I'm just interested in it as a subject, and it's like, and that's actually part of the reason why I even want to start the podcast is just like, I think I talk to a lot of interesting people like all the time, whether it's here or whether it's in my commercial work or whether it's just like I've met like random people in public that I've talked to just for like 30 minutes just sitting there talking like whatever. You just meet people and it's cool. And I just talk. I probably talk like way too much, and I was just like, let's just sit down and digest it and like break it down. Yeah. And then you and I had that crazy conversation that was just like you were like giving me this whole perspective I never thought of before, and I really thought about that. I did. Like that conversation kind of ended with saying like the at least I tried thing. Like what is, and I'm calculating in my mind like what is the value of saying I tried. That's why I asked you what it felt like. I was like, what does that feel like to you when you tried and you failed? What do you take away from knowing that you still tried? And in my mind, I'm like, I don't really know what I would get from that. Even sorry to tie it back into what we were talking about. No, you're good.
Even when people say I tried, I noticed that they still organize. They still organize and they try to see what other pathways they can take to try to change at least some level of something, if that makes sense.
Some level of it.
Yes.
Like down to I was able to like show up for one single person who's struggling type of level. Yeah. And I've always just been stuck at the top level. That's it. I'm just like, I can't change
There's so many
anything.
levels to it. It's not just the one thing. There's so many levels to it.
I see that now.
And you just literally work yourself from the bottom up, in my opinion. Like, it's so easy to work yourself from the bottom up with that thing. And you can choose which level to stop at. But at least you're engaged and at least you're trying, if that makes sense.
So it's like, okay, so if it's levels, right? If it's levels, right? And if I'm stuck, like, let's say like this is like the top, right? So if I'm stuck about like, this whole giant thing on a human spiritual scale is weird. If I stop there, and then this is like being so involved where it's like your whole life. If I'm here, you're like here. Is that what you'd say? And it's important to like be in I know what's going on. I understand what's going on. Maybe I can't break down the entire thing, but like, hey, I gotta be honest, I would love to live my entire life kind of clocked out, but it's like when I hear, how worried my mom was for Nadia about the Roe v. Wade stuff, and it's like that stuff kind of makes me think on a, hey, I get that we're in the universe and there's all this weird, like it's not weird, but like this, I get this more esoteric approach, and there is a real like philosophical way of looking at life that can be beautiful, but life's not always going to be beautiful, right? So I think maybe all my mom was saying, I think all you're trying to explain to me is just stay clocked in.
Yeah, stay informed, honestly.
Just stay clocked in at least.
I think it's so important because even if you don't want to take the levels to try to make a massive change, at least you're aware of what's going on and how it's impacting you or how it's impacting other people.
Because it is impacting me, man. That's the thing. It's like now with the stuff at the library, like they have this whole project going on, and I haven't actually even met with any of my contacts there like in a while because there's been crazy stuff going on, and I've just been trying to get some content done, for them and stuff like that. So I'm not even entirely informed about how it's affecting the system at large, but it's just in my head. I know it is, and I work for them, and it's like, I do work for them. Like I do commercial video work for them, and I care about the people there. I guess it is like you said. It had to get to an emotional level for me for me to clock in, I think. Or just not, like, just me be more awake to it or more alert to it, because, you know, maybe we are just kind of floating in space and kind of a transient kind of thing, but at the same time, like, there's people that I care about who are experiencing some kind of like loss, and I could at least turn up for them, you know.
Yeah.
I guess that's the lesson there.
Like, at least show your support, and at least show that you care and that you're educated on the matter. And the reason why I say education is so important too is because now I've seen so many videos out there, and this is politicians from, like, doesn't matter the level, party, nothing. I've seen so many videos of politicians now where they're at the level they are and they don't know what they're talking about. And it drives me insane. Like, they'll be like, oh, I believe this. And then someone will be like, why? And they'll be like, I just think that's just how it is. Like, they never go into detail because they know nothing about the subject at hand. And I feel like you should not have a power, in a sense, if you don't know what you're talking about.
But it's like, then my question is, who decides what we know, what we're talking about? Because in my mind, dude, I don't know these people. I've never met these people. I have no idea who they are in their personal lives. I have no idea what they have going on. I have no idea what they even do as their job.
Like, are you talking about politicians?
Like politicians, for example. Like people that are, like you said, like, there's stuff going on. Like, people that are making these decisions, these people with this power, I have no idea how they got it. I have no idea, like I said, who they are. And it's like, I don't even know, like, is there, and then I see something that's like, oh, there's financial incentives, like people get paid off by this stuff. And I know there's like, when that dude got shot, the president of the company, of the medical company, like I did a little bit of looking into that. There's all this like pharmaceutical, like, what is it, like, there's all this stuff going on with like how it's like, all, it's like, you know, it's really messed up. I don't really know much about it. I'm really uneducated.
But you still did some research. You see how
I
you went into
it. And I'm just like, this is so crazy. Like, what is going on?
And
like,
this
it's
is
just
the
so
thing.
big.
So much information on these politicians are literally publicly available. Like, you can go ahead.
Well, yeah, every once in a while you see one like
they literally have
going to jail for something.
Yeah, they literally,
and then I'm like, I can't trust any of these guys. So in my mind, I'm like,
oh,
I don't even care. Okay, so here's my actual opinion. I have no idea what politics is. To my understanding, like, money is involved with like buying parties or buying people or swaying opinions. Like, there's shifting of hands, there's companies, there's stuff, like there's complexes. Everything's a complex. Like, healthcare is a complex, military is a complex. Like, it's a financial, like, it goes back to like a financial incentive, or like, there's a reason to not look out for people of the public, I feel like. So I feel like, okay, I'm a person of the public, and there's people with like this crazy power to influence these crazy things, and it's all backed by what, like greed or something like that. Like, if it really is all money, like that's what I've heard. Like, I watched
it really is.
Well, I watched the episode of do you know the comedian Theo Vaughn? He has a podcast. It's actually a really, really good podcast. He did an episode with Bernie Sanders, and I don't really know anything about Bernie Sanders. I don't really even understand the Democrat or Republican. I don't really understand. I just remember he ran for president.
Yeah.
And the podcast that they did was very interesting, because like, it wasn't really like super like politically based. It was like kind of Bernie talking about, from his opinion, how, like, what actually happens behind the scenes in like Washington D.C. or like whatever. And like, I'm gonna believe this guy. I like, to some extent, like, from that, but he wasn't talking from like a political perspective. He was like, hey, this is like stuff that's going on behind the scenes, just talking about what it's like to be a politician or whatever. And a lot of it, he was talking about like, it's all money and stuff like that.
And I'd believe it.
Like, like, it's all money, and I'm just like, if it's all that, why do I even care? Like, I have no control over the shifting of hands in the background of this giant machine that has these giant cogs that can just do anything to my life anytime it wants. That's a giant concept that I just feel like most people aren't ready to break down. Like, I feel like I'm not ready to break it down, and I feel like there's people in it that can't even break it down. Like, I feel like it's just this massive thing that we've just created from, once again, I don't know where they come from. What's the origin of politics? Like, does it start in nature? Or does
I
it
would
start
think
when we evolved into
civilization.
human, and when
I
we
think
evolved into
humans.
civilization? Like, where does politics come from? Like, I remember learning in like 6th grade about the Code of Hammurabi or something like that, and it's just like the original. It's like eye for an eye. Like, you know, if someone picks your eye out, you can pick their eye out. Like, he had these rules, and it was like built on this. I think it was built in like the capital of some city. I remember learning that was like the origin of law, but I doubt that. I bet there was stuff before that that we probably just didn't learn about. But I remember learning about that. I'm like, is that politics kind of? Is that ancient politics? It's just this like, I'm curious about where it comes from and what's the purpose of it. And then it's like, you throw religion in there and it's like, it's over, bro.
Yeah.
Like hold on, like let's pause. Like,
Okay.
if you throw religion in there, it's over.
Yeah.
You trying to understand anything is over.
Yeah.
The second you try to like, hey, I don't really know what's going on. I want to learn about it. Because I did not grow up in the church. I have been to church. I did not grow up in the church. However, I am very curious about it. I'm interested by it. I have a lot of friends. Specifically, it was a buddy of mine when I went to the vocational school my junior year. He gave me a little card that was like, come to church with me. And it was like this cool little thing. And I went to church. I mean, I'm definitely not a subscriber of any specific religion or specific religious philosophy or ideology. I'm just interested. I'm very interested by all of it. And I went to church for a while, like just of my own interest and own volition. And it's like, you try to wrap your head around that. Like, hey, I'm interested in this. I'm gonna choose to just, hey, I don't know what's going on. Let's see what people have to say about what's going on, whether it's politics or the universe or death or whatever we learn in politics and religion. And I'm a total outsider to politics and to religion, and I'm coming into like these worlds. And of course, like I did other things beyond going to church. I've watched so much stuff on trying to understand religion. It's so big and it's so far outside of myself, and I'm so interested by it. But it's like, then there's political religious crossover. And that's the part where I say it's over. Like, try to understand it, it's over. You can't. It's so big, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I clock out of it, because I'm like, this thing is so
And I feel
complicated.
like they are two things that shouldn't be mixed.
Why do they go hand in hand? I feel like a lot of the time, and it's just it intrigues me so much. And I'm so interested. I'm so interested and curious about religion. I really am, especially I really it's kind of weird because it goes pretty deep for me. I really respect there's a lot of religious people in my life that I really respect. They have, there's an ability, and it's an ability that I try to practice, especially because it's like I said, politics do scare me. So it's an ability that I try to practice, where it's I don't know, where it's like they're really capable of putting it's faith, right? They're really capable of putting faith into something they believe is bigger than themselves, positive, and outside of themselves. I subscribe to that.
Okay.
I really like to believe like that there's something, that there is a positive energy, a positive a positive like we're having a conversation, and I brought up weather, and you were like happy, like that there's like that exists in like people all the time, everywhere. And I feel like I feel like you don't ever see that in politics, bro. Like, it's like, bro, I feel like there's a good positive trend, energy, force that, and then I'm like, I just believe that exists, and then I clock out of it from there.
It's complicated.
And I want to learn more about that. I'm like, okay, if I feel this, but it's like, if I talk to one person, they would say, oh, that's God. If I talk to another person, they would say, oh, that's the Tao. If I talk to another person, there's a bunch of different opinions and explanations and history of it all, and with politics. So it's like, and it goes with politics a lot of the time. So it's like, it's so big for me,
I feel like the two shouldn't mix, because religion is a personal belief.
But
and it impacts you.
But personal beliefs are so powerful, because if you personally believe something, you're gonna stand up for it.
Yeah, but politics, religion doesn't rule everyone. Politics does, though. That's why I think they shouldn't mix, in a sense, because of who they rule over exactly.
Well, maybe if you think historically speaking, there's a point in time, like let's look at like it was like the Holy Wars. I think that was like I'm not educated on the history of that, but it's like Jerusalem, whatever is going on with the Holy Wars and stuff like that. There was a point in time where that politics and war was like that was in the name of a religious cause, to my understanding. So it's like, it seems like, going back to then at least, from what I can pull from my very limited knowledge, religion and politics and war all come together, and it's like, it's so complicated.
And it does in a sense, because again, personal beliefs.
Think about what a religious belief is, though. Like, you're gonna believe in that, and it's like, you know, there's religions that like encourage you to like spread it around and convert other people. Like, that's been a whole thing we've been doing. You know, at least like I remember learning about that when we were learning about Native Americans, like trying to convert them to Christianity and stuff like that, or there's other religion, you know, to spread it. You know, that's part of it. So of course that's gonna leak its way into politics. I mean, of course it is. You have to spread it. That's the whole thing of it. That's the whole like religious. It's a whole thing that a lot of, I think, you know, there are religions that subscribe to that. Just spread it, right?
Well, I never saw it like that.
It's going to seep into politics because you're going to stand up for what you genuinely believe.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say? I'm at a point where I don't genuinely believe anything because I'm like, oh, we're floating in space. It's nothing's genuine. It's all an experience. Like, right? That I've kind of take this almost like this, like, you know, like whatever, totally chill like approach to it. But if I were to go and genuinely believe something, it's like, I don't know, like I'm not certain of myself to genuinely believe anything.
I guess it's hard for me to speak on that matter just because I don't strongly pursue myself in that religion aspect like some people do. Like some people,
and I don't either.
Yeah, some people go to church every Sunday, all that stuff. You know, they read the Bible, they pray every night, they pray before every meal, and I don't take that route. So I guess that's where I come in, and I can't necessarily speak for them just because I'm not in their shoes. It's for me to be like, oh, well, what they're doing is wrong.
So exactly, that's how I felt when you were bringing up like your heritage and stuff like that. I was like, I'm not in their shoes. I don't even know what's going on.
But here's the thing, though.
How is that different?
Now I want to come in and be like, what they're doing is not wrong. But there's some people in that side where they come to us and they'll be like, what you're doing is wrong. Think of abortion. Okay. And that's where I come in.
That's where I'm just lost.
And this is
where I drop the mic.
And this is where I think it differs so much because I guess everyone has a different version of putting, or like what their definition of wrong is, you know? Like everyone has different beliefs, so they're gonna think something's wrong, whereas we don't think it's wrong, and we think it's something wrong where they don't think it's wrong. And I think it's just hard because now it's a clashing of heads.
Yeah.
But this is a conversation we had a few weeks ago, and I told you.
We keep talking about like that legendary conversation that shifted.
And I told you where Wiccan said, do as you will as long as you harm none. So basically do whatever you want as long as it doesn't harm others.
Yeah.
So that's where I come in, and I want to hope that everyone kind of takes that belief where it's like, well, I'm not spreading hatred towards you, don't spread hatred towards me kind of thing, and I'm not hurting you, therefore don't hurt me. And I think, I don't know, it's so hard.
Well, hold on, let me stop you there. Let me stop you there because, and I like that you brought up the Wiccan stuff because that was another thing, because I was like, are you a witch? Like, what are you talking about?
No,
like, I know that,
yeah.
I know that.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, now we're talking about magic. Anyway, sorry, that's what I remember thinking that. But no, the thing where you're like, I'm just, you know, don't hurt others, do what you will, don't hurt others. So it's like, hey, just don't spread hate. But then when does it get to the point where you can't just say, I'm not only not going to do this thing, I'm going to go fight against those who do this thing. Like, what was it? There was a conversation that I remember seeing. I don't exactly remember. I don't know if there was a law going on. I don't know, or an event happening. But there was a conversation I remember seeing on the news that was about the difference between being like not racist and anti-racist. It's like, I'm not racist. I don't spread racism. And it's like, but you see something racist happening and you don't exactly like intervene and like
So therefore you're
whatever.
not anti-
So it's like you need to
okay.
be anti-racist.
Interesting.
I remember seeing something like that, and there was there's an interesting shift from the when the Wiccan thing that you were just talking about
Yeah.
there, because it's like, how clocked out can you stay?
I don't think you can stay necessarily as clocked down. This is why it's so
And
complicated.
isn't it complicated?
It is complicated.
And that's the only thing I wanted you to see, is that where I come from
Yeah.
on it, how big it is to me,
Uh-huh.
and how I'm just lost. I'm just lost.
But I feel like you can always start somewhere.
Because what
yes.
you and my mom have been telling me is like it's still important
still start
to
somewhere,
be
yeah.
educated
Yes.
and not just like, hey, I don't care, I'm just gonna
Yes.
chill. Like,
Yes.
there's a different route to take there, which I'm just thinking about that. That's all. I'm just interested in that. Like I believe my mom, right? I believe you, so it's like. And then I wonder, but here's the thing, I wonder, like, what if I was like, okay, imagine I was interviewing like myself right now.
Okay.
I would just be like, bro, just you're so chill, like it doesn't matter, bro. Like, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like if someone else was sitting across from me right now
But-
who had a different opinion, would I just be believing them right now? You know what I mean? It's like how do I actually like attach myself to like that idea? You know what I mean? It's like this is big and it's complicated and I'm interested
Again,
in it,
research.
but it's like
Research.
Research?
I'm literally telling you this right now, but you could always go home and fact check me at the end of the day. You could always write down what I say and be like, let me research this. Like, let me research, see. I feel like, and that also further expands your learning, because you're already learning something, but then you can go on the internet and expand on that learning even more, or even realize that what I said, some things were wrong, but you're still learning from it at the end of the day.
So hold on, let's say this then. Let's say this then. I go and I do that, right? And I just like find something you said that was just like wrong, right?
Yeah.
Let's say I do that. And then, which I'm not going to do this, by the way, but
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
just
yeah,
say,
yeah, yeah.
let's just say.
But we
let's
could
just-
always have a conversation.
Let's just
on
say
it
that
too.
happened and I brought that to you.
Uh-huh.
What would your stance be?
I mean, I don't think I would necessarily be offended, but be like,
But I think that right there, you have a certain level-headedness about you
okay,
that I feel like I don't see
In a
when you
lot of
get in these bigger political systems.
okay,
I see we have one side is right and one side is wrong, or the flip.
that's why I said there's
This conversation we're having, I don't really know if this exists in the
Yeah.
bigger political system that I have
think it
seen
does, 'cause
anywhere.
they're so divided
and I
now.
watch the news
'Cause they are so
much.
divided now.
I watch so much news and it's just unbelievable how it's just like you pick a side or you die. Like
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
I want to know. I think it's a little more complicated. I want to know a little bit more about what
And I
don't
think
really
you're
have.
right on that.
And I don't really have I don't really have an opinion.
Yeah.
Because it's like that's why once again I always go back to just that's why like it's like I would love to see and I watch like NBC does the nightly news
Yes, uh-huh.
show. I've watched that and you know the host like Lester Holt, which by the way he's like a crazy legend and like the whole
Yeah.
broadcast, everything. He's awesome, but
Even though he's leaving.
I
so
know he's leaving, which is so
unfortunate.
sad. I remember and also Haley's sad because she loves Lester, bro.
Man.
But anyways, legend. You know, glad he's retiring. I looked up his salary, like what his Google said his salary was. It's like something millions, bro. He had millions. It was crazy.
only
But
imagine,
anyways,
yeah.
Lester. Shout out Lester. He's the goat. But he would like I watch him. He'll do these interviews with these world leaders and stuff, and I'm just like. It's like scary or something. It's like,
It is,
what's
yeah.
going on? Like, why are we, you know what I mean? It's just like, it'd be so awesome to take that Wiccan approach, right? Where it's just like, hey, I'm just gonna chill, you just chill. And it's like, just you be, you know, do to
Yeah.
others. It'd be so cool. Like, that'd be such a, but here's the thing. It's like, would we even have society? Would we even have capitalism? Like, would we even have our society at large if that were the case? So it's like, you know, how would my life even look? It's just, it's huge, man.
It is.
It's huge, man.
It is huge. And back to the whole thing that you mentioned, like, you don't know if like this sort of conversation happens at a higher level. Probably not, because
So that's what I'm saying. Personally, on the news, I see these people talking to world leaders, and I'm like, I feel like the conversations are like informative, or maybe they're instructive, but
yes,
I never really walk away from them with a feeling of,
I'm persuaded. Or
yeah, maybe like that. Like I'm persuaded that
Well-
this makes sense, even like.
well,
You know?
journalism at the end of the day. And
But then
even-
that is journalism. That isn't inner political
I
conversation.
literally learned this
but-
in TV production, which is so crazy. It's like journalism is meant to be objective, not subjective. You're supposed to get to the facts and not necessarily show
But
bias.
that's the part. Get to the facts. It's like if there's incentives to go, it's not even like. It's not. I feel like it's not even like I'm gonna choose not to believe the facts. I think it's more just like, hey, I have an incentive to, like, to believe in this, right? To be on this side. There's an incentive there for me. So it's like, how do you even stay educated, man? Like how? Like genuinely, how do you actually stay educated when any opinion that either one of us have politically, we can find the opposite opinion. A lot of people with the opposite
Yeah.
opinion for
But those are
very different
opinions.
reasons.
Those are not facts.
But like, they would say they have facts. Would they not?
That's why
So you're
research is
telling me,
important.
but they would say they research and they found this, like whatever they found, whatever they subscribe to, because it's like there's like paid for stuff and all that stuff going on. Like I don't like. How do you even understand?
That's where you find
even like
research-
universities
yeah.
are like funded by like companies and parties and stuff. It's like there's a lot of weird like shady stuff that goes on behind that.
There's a lot of universities that get funded by higher ups, yes, but I can tell you right now with professors that I have been around, they still want to stick to the facts. I can tell you right now, there's not a lot of professors out there that are like, oh, I gotta hush hush because I gotta. Professors are actually educated on the subject, so they actually.
But how?
What do you mean?
How did they get it? How are they educated?
Because they
I
went
wanna
to
know.
school for it too.
But then who funded that school to like? Isn't it like the education, like what they teach? Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
yes, but
is it control? What I want to know
Here's-
is it controlled?
not right now as you think it might be,
Okay.
and that's why education system is under attack because they want to control it. Have you heard of Senate Bill 1?
No. I'm out of the
Crazy.
loop, buddy.
I cannot give you all the facts right now, but Senate Bill 1 here in Ohio, that is what's cutting DEI programs in
Okay.
all public universities. That's one thing. 2, faculty will not be allowed to go on strike in any of these public schools either. Like if they see something that's wrong with the school, they're not allowed to go on strike.
Okay.
That's one thing. Another, I think the state wants to mandate control, or like, I forgot what it was. That's where you're gonna have to go in and look at the details, but there's something where the state, they want to go in and they want to check the curriculum to make sure that students are not being taught something they're not supposed to be taught, if that makes sense. They're
Right.
trying to control education.
Okay.
So that's where I come in, where it's like now education, it's at its highest, and that's why they're trying to attack it, because they know that these professors and faculty are teaching us the truth, and they don't want us to know the truth.
And yeah, you speak very passionately about that.
Yes.
And I bet you could tell me like plenty of stories about your professors and all kinds of
And
stuff.
yes, I've seen even literally back to meteorology and NOAA under attack. I've seen every single one of my professor be like, this is not okay. This is not okay, because they know that at the end of the day, knowing the science that they know and the education, because all of my professors, they have a PhD. They're all doctors. They've gone to school for so many years just to be able to say what they can say, because they learned the facts, they went to school for it, they did a thesis, they're so passionate and educated. So once, it doesn't even matter the politics at this point, they're just seeing that, oh, what I know is factual is being under attack right now.
I think I've just heard so much stuff. Maybe that's what it is. Like I've seen so much stuff that's just like, it's all like just shifting of hands, like money related. It's all like it's all that kind of stuff.
And you're right on that.
I've been around so much of that stuff. And once again, it's like I don't know. I have no idea what's going on at these levels.
Yeah.
I just heard that it's like I've heard this just from I don't know. Like I talked about that interview that I watched. Just whatever it is, I've just seen so much stuff that's just like, hey, this is not, it's just money. It's just
and
funded.
It is money. And we see that all these universities are being funded with these higher ups. And now that a lot of it's not even the university heads. I can tell you right now, the chair at the Ohio State University, they do not care about us as students. They care about the money more than anything else. I can tell you that right now. But the faculty, they see how it's harming us students. They see how it's harming them. They see how it's harming the education system, and that's why they're trying to take a stand. And that's why the government is trying to attack and being like, you cannot go on strike. We're going to mandate your classes, or like control your classes and make sure you're not teaching anything out of the blue, because we don't want you to educate our students. And that's why faculty are mad. And I can tell you, faculty, for the most part, faculty is removed from the higher ups at these universities. So even if we're getting in money, these faculty, they're still going to be like, well, I'm educated. I can tell you right now that this is wrong. And did you see what happened at Harvard?
No.
Harvard, so the current administration cut, I forgot how much money it was. I think it was like $200 million or something. But basically, the administration cut off like $200 million from Harvard because they told Harvard, hey, we need you to change what you're doing right now. And Harvard said, no, we're going to continue to fight for our students and our faculty. We're going to continue to stand for what we believe in. And so because of that, the administration cut off their money. And it is money related. You are correct. And now, I don't know, it's so complicated again, because it's not just the education system. Like I said, NOAA, they're dealing with cuts. And now it's going to harm you as a person, because you're not going to be as well informed on weather as you should be. Because us meteorologists, we will not be able to provide you that information just because we do not have access. I don't know. It's complicated. Like you said, it is money related, unfortunately. And because it's money related, they're trying to, I don't know. They use money as like an incentive to be like, well, if you do this, I'll give you money.
Like if you promote this certain
Yes.
topic or
Yes.
something like that.
And because Harvard said no, that's why funding was cut.
Okay, so I'm taking a second to think on this because I'm trying to find a way to
Yeah.
ask it. For you, like, does this ever stress you out?
Yes, of course.
Okay, how do you
All the
cope with that?
As well.
I know you like to play Minecraft.
Yes,
on
I
your
think this is
realm,
where
dude.
you come into.
I used to do realms,
think-
bro. I used to have this crazy realm. Sorry, little
Bro,
Minecraft
realm is dope.
tangent.
Yeah.
The realms,
Uh-huh.
bro. If you have some friends who want to play Minecraft, subscribe to realms. They are, dude. It's like I remember on Xbox back in the day, dude. It was just like perfect, bro. It was just like all your friends in one spot, one big world, doing stuff. Anyways, you're going through a Minecraft phase right
Yes,
now,
yes, I
but
am. Yeah.
yeah. Sorry, a little tangent. Anyways,
No,
let's
you're
continue.
good. And this is where I feel like it's okay to. That's why these levels are important, because it's okay to stop for a little bit and prioritize yourself and your mental health. But I'm
Right.
still being informed on what's happening regardless. I'm
Right.
not going to be like, I'm going to cut all this and not look at it again. Like, I know it's going on and I'm going to continue to stay informed, but I take a little step back from time to time. That way I can recuperate, or, just kind of, I don't know how to put it, but basically, like I said, just take care of myself,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
like get back on my 2 feet once again. So,
Right.
and
No, that's great.
And if
That's
we want to
great.
make this a lighter conversation, yeah, Minecraft. I love Minecraft. I can't. I'm hoping to get on tomorrow night.
Yeah,
with the
yeah,
bros,
man.
so.
Yeah, let's talk about like it's
Yeah.
like that's kind of where I go. Like I start learning about politics. I'm like, I'm just gonna go play some video games,
Yeah,
go chill
yeah,
out.
yeah.
More recently, it's been like not this week. This week's been hectic, but like more recently, since the weather's been nice, trying to go
outside.
out with my family and stuff like that. We're trying to go out to the parks, just walk around. Like taking my son outside and stuff. Like he always hates looking at the sun and stuff. It's cute. It's really cute taking him outside. But yeah, I think we both probably have some stuff to think about. More so me, probably. It's just
Yeah.
like it's big and it's complicated. I'm interested to talk to I'm interested to talk to more people. Like it'd be cool to maybe talk to more people just about whatever, not even specifically about politics,
Yeah.
but just like their point of views. That was actually why I even wanted to choose you as a guest to talk to, because you, regardless of what like specifically you believe or where you place really anything, whether or not I even agree with you, I'm interested in your perspective. You have a very strong perspective. And I think you want to wrap it there. I think we can wrap it there.
Yeah, if you
Thank
want
you
to.
for talking to me today.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for doing
on.
this. I know it was super random. I was just one day I was like, hey, just come do this, and I set the cameras up.
We're
whatever.
probably gonna talk it all over again in a few hours anyway.
Yeah,
so.
I know. We'll talk about it later, but
It's an
yeah.
ongoing
Thank you very
conversation.
much,
Yeah, no,
Aleshly.
thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.